Okay. So I have to say this because Gracie and I are just like over the moon excited. Today we record our 52nd podcast, which puts us at 1 year of recording, one full year.
Ooh.
So yeah, we've been talking about, okay, what's the final podcast of our first year going to be? And we thought, I was telling her, there's something to that. You have to learn to walk before you run. And so we were thinking about all the things we've learned, and we thought about some of the behind the scenes type, uh, topics that we could touch on. And then next week launches the next year, and we're going to have a whole new look, and we're going to take it a little bit in a different direction. So super exciting. It's exciting things coming down the pike. So um with that, there's Linda. You were making Kiki panic.
Sorry. My previous call went over a little bit.
No, that's okay. I'm just teasing you. So with that being said, we wanted to just start off this call with a little bit of a dialogue around the saboteur narratives. That's really what the focus of week 5 is. And really starting to better understand yourself through maybe taking that assessment, understanding the narratives that you're most prone to hearing, how those narratives make you feel, what it looks like when you react to those narratives versus respond to those narratives, really understanding the difference between reacting and responding. I mean, understanding yourself is no easy task. And so that's really what Morning Mastery is all about. Our objective is for you to better understand yourself every single day, and recognizing that you have the primitive part of your brain, that amygdala does not stop working, nor do you want it to. So allowing those thoughts to be there, even allowing the feelings to be there, is perfectly acceptable. And I would even say that's optimal. Recognizing them and allowing them to be there is really what you're shooting for. We're not shooting for a place or a time where they never show up or we never feel those feelings, because there is value in having those feelings because you do then get contrast. So the objective is having an awareness that they're there, allowing them to be there, and instead of reacting, responding. And you respond by questioning them so that you better and further understand yourself. So I hope that those words really land with you, because when you realize that this entire initiative is about understanding yourself, it, for me, it tempers the beatdown, the self-loathing that my primitive brain goes to. Like, I have an unwanted feeling and my primitive brain immediately makes that mean something about my worth or about my value.
You need to stop getting inside my head, because that is so much what is going on. Because it's interesting that you're talking about this. And I mean, how long have I been doing this program, and how long have I known saboteur narratives? And here I am struggling with somebody, and it took me a while this week to work out which one it was that was actually, I couldn't even see it. So to your point, the awareness is really important.
Very, very. And they change. So just when you think that, oh, I constantly hear the hyperachiever, which is a belief of mine, and I look for the evidence by taking the assessment again, and I get a number 10 on the on the hyperachiever. What I've noticed this week, it's been the victim. The victim has been loud, 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 loud in my head. And I really don't like the way that plays out for me. The results I get when I'm listening and reacting to those victim narratives. Now, I can allow those victim narratives to be there and respond, and I get an entirely different result. But without the awareness, they play out. And it's not until I get sabotaged or I get the unwanted results that I actually realize why. So it can be so exhausting. I can't tell you how many nights, probably within the last 3 weeks, Gracie and I are looking at each other like, oh my God, I'm so tired, because we are working so hard on staying aware of our own thoughts and feelings. And we're doing a lot of coaching, and you are so focused on helping people see their own mind. And there's a process and an art to doing that, that it does get, really tiring. And although it's very rewarding, it's just so interesting how mentally taxing that is, and emotionally taxing. So I say all of that because I want you to know how normal it is to feel those types of feelings. So with that, Linda, I had mentioned to Kiki prior to us starting the recording that we really wanted to connect this call to week 5, which is all about saboteur narratives and having a heightened sense of awareness around which saboteur. And it may be if you aren't proficient at knowing the saboteurs, that's okay. But just having an understanding of what is it that you're hearing? What is it that you're feeling? Even the feeling, we can kind of reverse architect to figure out what narrative you're hearing. So we wanted to really put an emphasis on that. Does that make sense? All right. So I will hand it over to you two beauties, and I will zip it.
Yay, Linda's on.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping someone wants to be coached.
Yeah, well, it's a possibility. If not, I will volunteer myself. But Anna.
I'll do it.
Oh,
Yay.
I have a good one.
Great.
Okay.
Tell us.
Okay, so I come back from Florida, and I just arrived, and my granddaughter, who's 17, is graduating, and she only has 6 tickets. And and it's a blended family, so a lot of mothers and fathers, etc. So anyways, she was offering a ticket to my husband, and he couldn't go. And in conversation, I've got my whole week planned out, and he turns around and says, well, Anna can go. So like, he's basically throwing me under the bus. So now I'm like, oh yeah, well, totally like thrown off. I'm like, well, when is it? And it's like this Thursday, and she's telling me about it Sunday. And I didn't say yes or no. And I said, where is it? And it's in Providence, and I'm about 30 minutes away. It's at Providence College, and it's like at 8:00 at night. And I really don't want to be driving into Providence, being there till 11 o'clock to drive back, unless I'm going to go see a really good concert. I don't know if that's mean, but anyways, so now it was like driving me crazy. Like, I'm thinking, how can I get out of this? And I kept thinking, why am I feeling guilty? And I kind of was playing up, am I the pleaser? Because I feel like I need to go, and so on. So I basically said to myself, you've got to say no. You don't want to go. I look at my calendar, and sure enough, on Friday morning, so this is Thursday night, Friday morning, I have eye surgery. So I'm like, oh. So now I'm trying to find excuses to get out of it, instead of just being honest. Hey, I don't want to go. So I did use these. I said, listen, I'm not going to be able to go. And I told her like the next day. I didn't like drag it out. But it's Sunday, she's telling me about it, and the event is Thursday. So I'm trying to mentally convince, my mind's trying to say, hey, it's not your fault that she threw it out to you at the last minute. Like, if she had told you this a month ago. And besides it, the ticket wasn't even for me. This is my mind working. The tickets really was for my husband, because he's the grandfather, and I'm like the step grandmother. But anyways, So it just like I was grinding on it all day long for maybe 2 days, even though I knew I made the right decision. And I was trying to force myself to sit with that decision. So I feel like I self-coach myself out of it, but I feel like I could talk to you guys about it too.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about it now?
I still feel a little guilty. And as Tracy was talking, I was thinking, okay, my saboteur is the pleaser. I was trying to please, fulfilling to stand in for the husband and to please the granddaughter, who I'm pretty close to. But obviously, I'm not close enough where if she had told me about it like a month ago, I could have planned it and so on. But she didn't, and it threw me off.
You also mentioned that one of the sticking points was that your husband didn't talk to you about it first. He sort of
Right.
threw you
I
under
felt
the
like
bus.
right.
How much of can you talk a little bit more about that part of it and how that, obviously you're not going now, so you've resolved that part, but
Right.
is there anything there that is
Well,
still bothering you related to that piece?
Actually, no, because I feel like I'm a big girl. I can handle that. But the minute we get in the car, I told him, I said, "Why did you do that? You don't know my schedule. You couldn't go." And to be honest with you, I didn't even know that he couldn't go. He's got some golfing thing that he really can't get out of. But again, we're busy, so we need people. If you're going to ask us to do something, you really need to let us know in advance. So I'm kind of okay. I'm not happy about him throwing the bus, but I think the more thing that's I like to release a little stress is that I don't want to be a people pleaser. I want to feel good after I make my decision. I want to be able to sit with my decision and say it's okay to feel bad that you can't go.
So can you do that? Because I'm interested that you're there's a lot of, and I totally relate, which is why I'm jumping in. I can completely relate.
Yeah.
But how do you feel when you think to yourself, "Oh, I'm letting her down. I'm letting her down."
I feel bad.
Okay. Why? Tell me a little bit more. I'm trying to work out why.
Because I know she'd be happy to have me there. But at the same time, I know she's going to be busy with her friends. It's going to be chaos. I mean, other family is going to be there. I definitely can, hang out with, her mom or the dad and of course they're not together either, but so they have two separate. So I'd have to once I get there, I'd, hook up with them, but I'd still feel I'm kind of making it about me instead of her, if that makes sense.
Well, that's a great awareness, but I'm kind of thinking as well, if you give yourself a moment to listen to what you've just said, can you take a moment to just hear the things that you've just said to yourself? So it's going to be busy. It's going to be chaos. There's already a lot of family there that, have to navigate the issues that there's a complementary family. You got told on the Sunday before the Thursday. Can you see those things and really listen to yourself saying them?
Yeah. And I feel comfortable knowing that because it was, asked of me at the last moment, I feel comfortable that, well, wait a minute, I have to say no to this because going there it'll be chaos for me because I'll be going by myself. I have to search out. And again, this is going to be a huge graduation. It's high school also. And I know she's going to have, I feel comfortable knowing that because she told me at the last minute that I said no. And she, it was fine. She was fine with it. I don't even really know. What I did do was I offered, let's plan to go out to dinner and celebrate this huge milestone. I said to her, and and obviously we're going to give her a gift and so on, and she knows that. but for some reason, I kind of keep going back and forth. Like I still feel a little guilty not going.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you handled everything really well. So I'm trying to understand, like, what do you think is driving the continued feelings of guilt?
I'm looking for my thought. So my thought is just I feel bad that I can't be there,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, and I feel that grittiness when I think about that I not going, but I would feel absolutely worse if I did go,
Mm-hmm.
because it'd be torturous for me. So what I'm thinking is, if I think about, okay, we're going to take her out, we're going to celebrate this event. I guess missing out on the event might be the whole. I'm trying to think of that, but maybe that I'm going to miss out, and I really don't have to miss out. But at the same time, I don't want to deal with all of the chaos.
So is there a part of you that wants to go, or that want to?
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I don't want to go. The minute he threw me under the bus, I'll say, I was like, how am I going to get out of this right away? Because it's supposed to be a family event. I would want to have gone with him. And that was never going to happen anyways, because she only had one ticket left,
Mm-hmm.
and she, like I said, she had the 6 tickets, and, the mom is with someone, the father's with someone else. That's, 4 tickets right there. And then she had another ticket that she wants to take her best friend. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it. If she could have offered 2 tickets to us too, but her best friend was more important. So I'm okay with that. I just feel, I don't know. Again, I don't like to go on, but at the same time, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. Who are you trying to convince? Are you just trying to convince yourself?
Yeah. Because I've been trying to convince myself for 2 days.
Okay. So why is it so important to so I don't know if I can say this, but how is it that it is making you feel to say, I'm not going and I feel really bad? Why? I'm trying to get to that, because we're all sitting out here and we're like, you have given us plenty of reasons why it's not even necessary for you to feel guilty. I can hear it in your voice. You're really still choosing to beat yourself up on this. And I want to know what is it?
What you just got I just got triggered. I think she should have offered the 2 tickets to us instead of her best friend. And I just, yeah, that's what I think.
But your husband wouldn't have been able to go anyway, because he has a conflict.
Well, I think, yeah, he really is not supposed to get out of this thing that he does. But I think if she had offered the 2 tickets, I probably could have said to him, this is really important, we should go. But this is an event that I think the 2 of us should experience, not one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. Woo! I really, really feel good saying that.
I was just hearing you struggling so much with this thing, and I'm thinking this is a lot of beat down to take yourself. There's got to be something in there that is causing that.
But I didn't come up with that myself. I mean, I've talked to my sister. I mentioned, she did give one of the tickets to a friend, but it never clicked that it was, it could have been offered to us differently.
So Tracy's just put there, saboteur narratives are sneaky. And that's something that I was just sharing at the beginning of this. Saboteur narratives really are sneaky.
So it's really not the pleaser.
No.
I got to figure that one out. Any idea what my saboteur there was?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit like it might be a judge of you. It's like your self-worth. It's like, well, we weren't important enough.
Yes, I like that.
Important enough.
Yeah,
so
that comes up for me a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
So and I think when we're a pleaser, we often can then say, well, this is what I would do because I'm a pleaser. So I would have offered both tickets. And then you could transfer that judgment onto
Right.
someone else. Like, well, why wouldn't they have done the same for me?
Right.
Or even a little bit of the victim, which, you know, at the moment I've got the victim playing quite nicely with my other saboteur, and it's kind of that feeling, well, why wouldn't they do that? What's wrong with me that nobody wants me? Oh, woe is me. And so it's kind of like
Right.
it's all wrapped into that. And I think as people pleasers, that's something that we can slip into quite easily,
Yeah.
because we're constantly thinking of other people and putting other people's feelings ahead of time.
Right.
So with that new sort of feeling here,
I
what
feel a release.
Okay.
There's definitely a release, and it is in my chest area that I'm feeling it. And I feel even better with my decision, if that makes sense. I feel like that kind of like nails it, that I'm doing the right thing because, I'm in control of what I do.
Mm-hmm. Tracy has some good questions in here for us. So when you think she should have offered us 2 tickets, how does that make you feel?
No, it makes me feel like, release. Release that I don't have to do it. It's not. It releases me for not feeling guilty. I'm kind of like, I feel relaxed about the decision.
I think you are, so I want you to really drop into your body. And there is a thought, it's probably a subconscious, unintentional thought, something around the judgment, of her not giving you those 2 tickets, which is causing the unwanted feeling that had you showing up today presenting this.
Mhm.
There's still this, rumble going on inside of you mentally and emotionally that doesn't feel quite right, doesn't feel aligned with your true self. And so that's what we want to uncover. And Linda and Kiki have done a great job of doing that, of really excavating the true thought that is responsible for this feeling, this unwanted feeling. And although I think you have reconciled and you're able to move on, I think it's worth really like investigating, how was that sneaky thought making me feel? So you said she really should have given us 2 tickets. How does that make you feel? It's a judgmental thought.
I don't know, to me, it's like a fact. With the grandparents.
Would everybody 100% of the population agree that she should have given you 2 tickets?
No.
But this, thank you so much for being so honest, because this is such a great example of how our primitive brain is like, this is a fact.
Yeah.
This is my truth. I'm choosing to believe this, even though it's really painful. Yeah. And here in a coaching session, it's our job to show you, you don't have to choose that thought, and you don't have to feel the pain, and you don't have to react to that pain. And so, but without awareness, you will. And so this is the gold right now that we're going through. The real thought was she should have offered us 2 tickets. Now, really hear me when I say this, we aren't trying to change the circumstance. We're not trying to change the circumstance of whether or not she gave you or should have given you 2 tickets. We're trying to reveal how, when you focus on that and you believe that as your truth, how that sabotages what you really want. That's what we're getting at. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So really drop into your body and be really honest with yourself and all of us. And really think about, how does that make you feel when you think the thought, she should have given us 2 tickets. I mean, there's a ... We're her grandparents. Because
Yeah.
you also said, and not a friend.
Mhm.
She decided to give a friend the second ticket. That ticket could have came to us and things would have unfolded differently.
Right.
Right? So there's even more ... I promise
Yeah.
you. There's
Pro-
lots of thinking around this, but
Yeah.
I want to know, how does that thinking make you feel?
That she doesn't think that we are as important to her as we think she is to us, I guess. Is that the deep thought?
You got it. Okay, I'm gonna zip it. Go ahead, Kiki and Linda.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds, like obviously those are feelings that generate hurt.
Right.
At
And
some level.
they're uncomfortable feelings.
Mhm.
Is it true that she doesn't care about you?
No, it's not true. I know it's not true. I remember being, 17 and, you want to be, with your friends and stuff. So I get it. So no, it's not true. I know she loves us, and she has her own car. She makes time for us, and I do meet up with her once a week for lunch, take her shopping.
Wow,
So
you
anyways, yeah.
are great.
So yeah.
Is it human? Is it human though
Yeah.
of you to feel really hurt that
Yeah.
she didn't prioritize you? Is that
Yeah.
is that human?
Yes.
Can
Totally.
you give yourself some grace for that? Can you say to yourself, okay, now I know why this was bothering me so much?
Yeah. This is good because I thought I had answered it on my own, and it's, as we can find out, it's a little bit deeper than what I was thinking. Yes. Yeah, she, it's not true what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Now it makes me even feel better.
Yeah. Well, especially when you can go back and recognize that it probably didn't come from a place of her wanting to hurt you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And
it's
I
not
know
true.
that. Yeah.
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 What I
know about
liked,
her.
Tracy had another question earlier that maybe now is a good time to ask. What is the gift and opportunity of not going?
That I'm going to spend time with her alone, which that's what I like doing. We're going to go and, do dinner, and, it'll be just us with her, and she's real fun, and we have a good time with her. So yeah, the gift is that I am going to be able to spend some quality time with her.
And when you suggested that alternative to her, what was her reaction?
Oh, hers is yes, definitely. That was her response. Yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel good, when she responded to definitely yes. Yeah. So that's a good feeling. I like that thought instead of thinking, hey, I'm going to miss out, even though I really don't want to go. I like the thought that, hey, I'm going to spend some good time with her, some quality time. And she's like a big gabber. She'll tell me everything that happened to her, all from January to May, like even things I don't want to know. So it'll be fun. It will be fun doing that. So yeah, that makes me feel good. I'm really surprised at what my end issue was, though.
But I think that's why coaching is such a useful thing, because I know we do self-coaching, but so often I need to be self-coached because we take ourselves, but we're still there in that moment. We're still ourselves. And so we don't fully realize, that's my door. So excuse me.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good saying this is going to be better because we're going to have some quality time. We're going to catch up on the last 5 months that we haven't been together. And that makes me feel really good.
Are there any obstacles between now and when you can expect to get together that you'll need to navigate?
No, I think just having this conversation is making me feel really good about what's going to happen in the future. Yeah.
So finding the time to schedule or, you know, your
Yeah.
schedule, her schedule, you don't
Yeah,
anticipate.
we'll figure it. Yeah, we'll figure out because she's, you know, she's graduating, so she's going to have some time. Um, so yeah, no, it'll be easy. It'll be easy to get to hook up with her. She'll make
Good.
it. I know she'll make a effort to do it too. So yeah, yeah, I feel good. That was good. That's a good conversation. I do feel better.
Do you think that it's possible that the narrative around that primitive brain judgmental narrative will show back up? That will
No,
no? Okay.
no, I feel really good. I feel good with this. I like it better than what I had decided. When I came into to the coaching this morning, I was thinking I really didn't have any issues to talk about because I thought I mentally resolved it. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, this is a good one to talk about. I didn't expect it to go. To be honest with you, I didn't know it was the 2 tickets. I didn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I didn't know that
Yeah.
until we
So
talked. Yeah.
So in the context of the graduation
Mhm.
and your decision about not going, what is the thought that's making you feel good? I just
That
want to really shine a light on it so you've
Yeah.
got it in your back pocket
Yeah.
in case a sneaky saboteur narrative shows back up.
Okay. That I'm going to have quality time with her. I know that she'll, you know, she definitely will meet up with us because like I said, we do get together, you know, once a week when I come back. So I know for sure we're going to get together. And I know it'll be a better experience for me and her to spend, you know, to spend some quality time together. So that makes me feel good.
Awesome. That's amazing. And for everybody else who's watching and listening and hopefully applying this to your own life, have an expectation that that primitive brain will
Mhm.
fire back up, right? It is not going anywhere. Nobody's taking that part of our brain out of our pretty little head. So its job is to keep us safe, and it does it in a very dramatic, fear-based way. So it's always scanning for danger, right? So 10 minutes down the road, and Anna's primitive brain might fire back up and be like, dang, I am just really bumming that she didn't think of us as more of a priority,
Mhm.
right? That's normal, you guys. That's normal because the neural pathway is established. Your primitive brain wants to be efficient. It goes right back to the thoughts that it has thought most often on particular circumstances, any particular circumstance. So it's very familiar, right? And she, in that moment, will experience the pain, the anger, the judgment. And when she's expecting that, she can be like, whoop, there it is. There it is. I remember Tracy said, expect it. It's coming. And she can just sharpen that skill of awareness. It's like, oh, there it is. Okay, move on. It's just my primitive brain doing what it's always done. And it's okay because during that same call, I found a better feeling thought that's believable, that makes me feel good. That's right. That's right. And now you can move on. And then 10 minutes later down the road, it might show up again. And you can remind yourself, this is just a function of my primitive brain. This doesn't mean anything about me. It's just my brain doing what it always does. Shelf it. Remind yourself of the thought that feels good because you've got 2 neural pathways going here, 2 believable thoughts. One is a truth. The other is very dramatic. We've already established it's not true. But because that neural pathway is there and it's stronger, it's a deeper neural pathway because we're working on this one, but this one's deep. It makes perfect sense that your brain goes right back to it, right back to it, right back to it. So we have to work on replacing it with this one. So it is a gift and opportunity that the primitive brain keeps working because you get the chance to sharpen your skill of awareness, which creates a deeper neural pathway of that prodigy brain decision, that prodigy brain belief that is your real truth. Does that make sense? I
It
want
does.
everybody to have a takeaway from this. because I think sometimes, I know I do, I'll get into a coaching call and I'll be very enlightened by the coaching call. And I'm like, all done. It's time to move on now. And I'm never going to think or feel that way again. And then I get to the end of the day and I'm like, wah, 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 darn it. It didn't work. And it's like, no. It did work. It's just, I didn't have an awareness of when those primitive brain thoughts, those saboteur narratives were going to start showing up again. And I had those unwanted feelings and I made it mean something about me. It got away from me. So when I say, what kind of obstacles can you expect between now and then? Typically, the way I answer it is a lot of saboteur narratives. They're coming. That's what I want you guys to expect. I want you to be very vigilant about those narratives so that instead of reacting, you're just responding by like, hey there, I see you. We're going to shelf you. And I did do the work to find another believable thought about the same circumstance that feels so much better. And I'm reminding myself right now of that believable thought. So this is applicable under any condition, under any circumstance, under your food, under your weight, under your relationships. Your primitive brain is not going anywhere. We want to sharpen that skill of heightening our awareness around every single time it shows up, because it truly is through awareness that we will respond and not react. And that's the name of the game. Does that make sense? All right. Thank you, Anna. That was really, really helpful. All right.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So in that circumstance, my first feeling would be anger and frustration that I wasn't invited in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And once you work through all of this and you have that breakthrough of, have that breakthrough, what happens if you still feel the anger and frustration deep down? Like there's nothing I can do about it. I had something already scheduled. It's not my fault that I wasn't invited sooner, but deep down, kind of your id is like, but I really wish I would have been there, and I'm still angry about it, and I'm in the future potentially going to be disappointed that I couldn't be there for her on her big day.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to move on from that and release it, especially for somebody who overthinks things days after it happens or weeks? Or is that just a feeling that you have to sit with and manage and eventually release when you realize it's not that big of a deal? Or I don't know if that's the right wording, but like, how do you release the anger even though you've worked through it, but you still subconsciously feel it?
Yeah. So why do you want to release the anger?
In general, because I don't want to be angry about things that A, I couldn't control, B, happened in the past, C, might affect my relationship in the future because I feel resentment.
Mm-hmm. And about this particular circumstance, let's say that this was your circumstance, why would you want to release the anger?
Because I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be an angry person. I don't know if that's the right answer.
Yeah, no, my point is that it always starts with asking yourself, like, how do you want to feel? Because it's okay to feel angry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody should believe that there's emotions out there that you, quote unquote, shouldn't feel. You actually should feel all emotions, because it makes the opposite end of the spectrum, so anger versus joy, it makes joy even like available to you. Like you wouldn't have the like context for what joy feels like if you had never felt anger. So feeling angry in and of itself is not a problem. Typically, what becomes the problem is how you behave from that anger. It's the reactions that happen from anger that become a problem. If anger sparks a response, a very intentional response, you might say, not a problem. Not a problem, because I'm capable of feeling angry, and I'm capable of feeling proud of myself for being willing to feel angry at the same time.
And so I guess the path would be continuing to feel resentful towards the person, which if it happens too many times, it just builds up and could eventually explode. And so I guess it's really, how do you move on from the resentment? Because I had something kind of similar happen a few weeks ago. I was very angry about it, but it was something that I chose. Like, I was angry at myself for doing what I did because of somebody, and I sat with it. But it's like, there's nothing I could do about it now.
But there is.
Well, in that instance, like, well, yes, yeah, like the
like I knew about the circumstance.
Yeah,
but the way you feel, there's lots, and I'm gonna let the coaches coach you on this.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't change the situation, so I sat with my anger, but I learned from it at the same time. So I feel disappointed in myself that I failed to accomplish this task, and I've eventually released it because it wasn't anything that anybody did. You know, it was self-inflicting. But if it's coming from an external person or space or whatever, how do you release the resentment?
Hey, it's Jen. I know I'm not coaching today, but I would just say that anything you feel is actually self-inflicted, right? Because no one can really make you feel a way. It's what you're thinking that's making you feel that way.
No one can make you feel
Just wanted
inferior
to point
about
that
yourself.
out.
Yeah.
Right. It's whatever you're thinking that's making you feel that way. I'll go back on mute, but I just had a little revelation right when you said that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's actually what I think a lot of what Tracy was actually trying to say to you. So it's you know, she asked you, how do you want to feel? And you have just said very clearly to all of us that when you feel a certain way, you show up in a certain way. So you behave and you react, and you react in a way that is actually counterproductive to you. So exactly what Jen is saying, which is, you know, the power that you have now is that you can change the thought, because you know how you want to feel. So what you have to be thinking to now feel differently, even about this.
Okay. So in using, and I'm just going to use your example. So
okay. I've got so many names on here, it doesn't matter. Go on.
Yeah. So in her case, she's feeling resentful about it, but the person graduating might not feel that way. So why do you need to beat yourself up over it? Basically.
So when we dug down into the way that she was feeling, right, the thought that was causing her to feel that way was that she felt like the tickets should have gone to her, and that was something that made her feel not as loved or not as cared for, or not as important. And when she examined that feeling, she was able to say, well, that's not real. I know this person cares about me. I know that that she actually spends, that we're very close, that we have a great relationship. So then by having that thought, because she could feel differently about it. So in your situation, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about it, but we might need to get a little bit more clarity about what exactly you're talking, because you're talking about a lot of negative. I'm hearing a lot of beating yourself up and a lot of negative stuff, and I want that to go away. So
Yeah. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. My brother is with somebody who is not a kind person. She is constantly trying to destroy our family and our family dynamic and break us apart and everything. And we have a big family trip coming up, and I heard she might be coming, and I subconsciously delayed requesting a tour to the White House because we're going to DC, because I was so frustrated that she was going to be there, and I was waiting for her to say, no, I actually can't get out of work, instead of just applying for the tour, requesting the tour. But because of my anger that she was going to be there and try to ruin the trip, as she always does with our family, I delayed the request, and they denied the request because they said either a tour wasn't available or spots had ran out. I don't know which, but I was angry with myself because I knew that there was a very strict deadline that I needed to hit to increase my chances. And I self-sabotaged myself by waiting, hoping that the answer would be actually, no, I can't make it. It's ridiculous to say it out loud.
It's not ridiculous. That's the whole point. It's not ridiculous. It's absolutely human. It's absolutely human. Okay, because I understand what you're saying. So how would you have wanted to feel? How would you have wanted to feel in this situation?
Well, I wanted to feel excited. I'm very excited about this trip. We've never done a family trip like this before, and so I'm very excited about it. However, when I heard that she might actually be coming, you just get this drop in your stomach because you're like, oh God, here we go.
Okay, but what else could be true? Because I get that. I understand that you've got this feeling and that this is what it's making you feel. But what else could be true? I mean, she's going to come. Is she absolutely going to destroy everything?
She tries. She physically tries. And we most of the time ignore it because she can't have an adult conversation and work out her feelings and move past this, even though I've said, like, we need to move past this and have this conversation. So it's frustration, it's anger, it's disappointment, but that's all combined with the overall excitement for the trip. And no matter what happens, whether or not she comes, we're going to do our best to have as much fun as we can, I hope that answered the question. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, actually, I think there's a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions and a lot of circumstances. And I'm trying to go back to the one that we talked at the beginning, which is, that you're frustrated with yourself, and you can't change the fact that you haven't got the ticket, right? You can't change that now. That's done. And so how can you, how do you want to feel about it, given that you're going to have to spend time with this girl and you're going to have to go to Washington, Washington, D.C., knowing that you don't have the ticket? How do you want to feel?
I want to feel excited that the fact that even though we didn't get these tickets, we have a lot of stuff planned, and there's something in there for everyone, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm a big history buff. My niece is learning about the presidents. Like, I'm so excited to take her around DC. If we didn't get the tickets, oh well, there's nothing I could do about it. So I can't.
So the thought is, you can still go and have fun. There are
Yeah.
things out there that you can do, that you can actually have fun. Linda, do you want to say something? Because I monopolized.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about, there are things about the tour that, it's hot and humid. You're waiting in a huge line. Like, what are the gifts and the opportunities of maybe not going on the tour that other things might happen instead, right? Like, it opens up the opportunity for so many other things that you might be able to do. And even if you had gotten the request in within the deadline, there still was no guarantee that you would have gotten the tickets.
Yeah.
So it's really not all your fault. It could have not happened either way.
Yeah.
So you can choose not to take ownership of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way the new thought that you actually came up with. I like that idea, which is, I'm still going to have fun. I mean, I don't have the ticket for this thing, but I'm still going to have fun. There are still a lot of other opportunities that I can do. There is a lot of interaction that I can have with my niece. So I think, because I really liked what Tracy was saying, that we have to hold on to that thought, because our saboteurs are going to come back, and the saboteur is probably going to come and say, yes, but she shouldn't really have not answered immediately, because I'm going to be so I love the idea that you're actually saying, okay, this is so that thought is such a good thought. And I noticed even you lit up when you were thinking about it. So it's obviously making you feel better than the thought.
Yeah. And Linda, to answer your question, my nephew is coming and he's 5. He would be bored out of his mind and he would probably break something. And yeah, Karen, the White House will still be there in the future. And those were kind of the things that I had to overcome, but that initial feeling was all the bad, anger, frustration, disappointment, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Tracy has just pointed out what I was trying to get to, was when you have that feeling, I can still go and have fun. How does that make you feel? Because I could see that there was a change of feeling, but do you feel differently?
Oh yeah. And Tracy and I had a one-on-one about this on on another level. And everybody's really excited and I can't wait to go. But it was that one incident where I was just like, damn, I'm a getter of things. I'm very good at getting things, even though they're very difficult to get. The fact that I couldn't get it, I was like, but there's nothing I can do about it. So, but it was more of just like when somebody causes you anger or pain, when it comes from an external source, it was more just like, how do you release, not necessarily the anger, but like, how do you move on from it?
It's a choice. I mean, this is what we were saying, and I think Janet said it and Jen said it. It's your feelings are caused by a thought that you're having.
Mm-hmm.
So
not an external sourse.
Not an external source. So it's not a question of that person has to change or that circumstance has to change or that you're feeling the way you feel comes from a thought that you are having. You are having a thought about that. So the thought you have now decided to hold on to is, I can still have fun. I'm still going to enjoy it. And Linda gave you all the other things to look at, which is, the 5-year-old is probably going to scream or what have you, or it's going to be a long queue and you're going to sit in the humidity. So you have a thought that is going to make you feel differently. So, and I'm very much like you in some ways, because the thought tends that negative thought tends to sit with me, and I feel like I have to sit there and I have to really wallow in it and really enjoy it. And what I'm trying to learn is that that's my choice. And maybe sometimes that's what you want to do. Maybe you just want to sit there and just really, really wallow in that. But if you are saying you don't want to feel that way and you want to have fun and you want to enjoy Washington, then it is a choice that you can make, it is a form of release. It's just you switch out that thought that you had originally that was causing that weight, that hurt. And you choose, oh, I get to have fun with my niece. I still get to go and do this. I get to do that.
And maybe there's some planning that you can do in advance of the trip, that it's sort of like, what are the obstacles that you might anticipate based on this individual being present? And how can you plan in advance? How do you want to handle those things in advance so that you have your preparation and that individual isn't going to derail your trip? You're not going to let that person do that, because you're going to be in control of your thoughts and feelings during that time. And it's just not going to be possible for that person to derail it, because you're planning ahead on it. And if you need any tips of anything related to the DC area, I've lived here for almost 30 years.
Oh, cool.
I live in Arlington, Virginia. So happy to offline provide you with any ideas on places to go.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
And hear me when I say, when you are thinking about the obstacles that might show up and you start the planning process, like Linda is suggesting, make sure you are being driven from a prodigy brain thought and feeling. Do not be planning out strategies to overcome obstacles from anger, from frustration, from self-doubt. Hear me when I say this, you guys. It's a very, very distinct difference in the outcome, in the way you're going to feel. We can all think about the obstacles and come up with strategies. And if you're doing that from a frustrated place, it's not going to be as effective as if you were doing it from the emotion that, Kara, you still haven't answered what the emotion is, but when you think I can still go and have fun, however that thought has you feeling is what I want to, like, I want the actions of coming up with obstacles and strategies to be driven from that feeling, not the frustration that you feel when you think this chick is coming and she's going to sabotage our family trip.
So I guess the feeling would be excitement and anticipation, but anticipation for the good stuff, not I'm anticipating the bad stuff.
How about anticipation for it all? Like, let's just be real.
Yeah.
You know that she's coming and you have evidence that, she likes to sabotage things. Okay. Okay. Like, she gets to live in that misery. Like, who does that? Who wants to live like that? Apparently she does. Yeah. Right? But that you don't have to.
Yeah.
So you get to decide how it is that you're going to think and feel about that circumstance. And when you start to do this work regularly, you clearly start to see the primitive brain thoughts about a circumstance and the prodigy brain thoughts about the same circumstance. And it becomes like a Mack truck hits you and you're like, why the hell am I choosing to believe this thought when it creates pain and it drives all of these icky actions that sabotage what it is that I really want? Why the hell am I choosing this thought? Well, the answer is because your primitive brain is stronger. That's the answer. It's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're stupid. It's because your primitive brain is stronger. And so when you can normalize it, that in and of itself helps you shift to this other believable thought that you came up with, that you said is believable. I can still go and have fun. All right. That's the thought I'm going to be practicing like it's my freaking job.
The affirmation you and I came up with on our one-on-one, I've been actively saying it, like, we will have fun. We have the option to have fun
Yeah. And you guys, just because you come up with a thought and a feeling in a coaching call and it works for 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 weeks, and it stops creating that feeling that you want, just come up with another believable thought, because you might find that, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm actually feeling kind of skeptical when I think that thought. Good to know. Just change it.
So it's basically making a pros and cons list with your feelings and then choosing which one you want to live with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And really recognizing that the cons of feeling an unwanted feeling typically it drives behaviors that sabotage you.
Mhm.
And there's a list of them that you can see if you do the work and spend the time really understanding yourself.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Coaches, if you wouldn't mind just staying on for a quick second, I just want to give you a debrief for just 1 minute, and we will see everybody on Friday.
Bye.
Okay, so nice job. Oh my gosh. Great. This was a great example of what like co-op coaching looks like. Like I felt like you guys did such a good job of that. Sometimes it can get a little messy and it feels disjointed and disconnected, and it didn't feel like that at all today. I was like, dang, this is such a good example of what it can look like. Kiki, getting clarity to be able to coach, like with Kara, when she was being really vague and not giving specifics, you went after it. And you're like, if you don't mind sharing, like you got to get the specifics in it in order to coach well. I loved how Linda went for the learning opportunity. How would you have wanted to feel about the girlfriend being included? She didn't answer it. She was dodging almost every question you guys threw out there because she doesn't understand. She's not connecting the dots yet. But you went after the learning opportunity, which I love, because the only way she's ever going to understand is when she starts connecting the dots. And so there's always this nice little balance of